And just knowing that you got to give yourself grace. You're going to go through all this stuff for the next, like, it's a journey. It's not about like just trying to do everything this year and being epic at everything this year. It's about just embracing the journey, embracing the struggle of being a novice in something, and knowing that every week, every day, every month, every year, I'm going to get a little bit better at this. And just know that you will get way better. Well, where I'm at right now is I am in North Carolina, and I'm in beautiful North Carolina in the mountains of Asheville, and I'm really excited to be here. My current role is I'm head of product and design at Growth Day, and which is a personal development and coaching application. We serve some of the world's leading influencers in personal development space, like life coaches. And we also have cross-platform tools, like where we have tools, community, and life coaching and courses. And also I'm founder of Next Level UX, which is something that I founded as a coaching and development program for designers and product makers and creators that I founded when I left Facebook. And so I've been doing that as like a self-entrepreneur for the last 3 years. And it's just been a huge joy in my life. So that's, I mean, and I'm a homeschooling dad, and just really passionate about the makers, the future makers of the world, and what they're trying to do and setting them up for success. So that's me in a quick little explanation.
I love that. So first of all, super jealous. Asheville is beautiful. I can kind of see through your background, you're kind of in this forest setting, which is probably great for creativity. So yeah, let's hop around a little bit. Tell me how you got to where you're at. Obviously, you mentioned that you worked for Facebook for a bit. You're part of this kind of life coaching Growth Day, and then also this Next Level UX. So certainly a busy guy. How did you get to where you're at? How'd you get started?
Yeah, I would say, like, I mean, I was just recently asked this, and I was like thinking about, wow, what a journey I've been able to go on. I think like what's taken me on this journey is just like the ambition to grow and the ambition to learn new things. And I think it all started literally when I was like a sophomore in high school, when I'm like, I got to tap into Photoshop, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this like tool is so cool. Do people actually make money from doing this? Like, am I going to actually have a career where I can make money from designing things? And at that point in time, I ended up taking that Photoshop class, I think twice. And then I ended up like figuring out I wanted to go to school for design. And the first thing was like, okay, well, I can't afford college. It's too expensive. So I was like an athlete, and I got a baseball scholarship, played 2 years at this school in Kentucky. It's called Cumberland College, and played 2 years there, won a couple league championships, which was pretty cool. Like, been fortunate enough to be on some championship teams in my life, but then realized that I needed something more. And this is where, like, kind of like I've always really followed my purpose, my ambition. And my dad reached out to, looking at all the art schools out there, found Savannah College of Art and Design. Have you ever heard of Savannah, Georgia?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I was blessed. I got a full ride to play baseball there. I was a catcher, and ended up going to Savannah College of Art and Design for 2 years, finished off my baseball degree, got a graphic design degree, and then, man, just sent my portfolio to all the towns that I wanted to live in. Literally, like the old school way of building a portfolio, where you print it out and you package it up and then you send it. You don't have online websites at this time. Well, you could, but it's just not a thing yet. So I literally had my portfolio. I sent it out all these agencies, these places I wanted to work. Ended up getting into the CEO's hands in a company called Profit Streams, or Magellan Network, in Durango, Colorado. Have you ever heard of Durango, Colorado?
I think it's like an ultra marathon destination. No, a lot of really active folks out there.
It is like the incredible place, mountain biking, world-class mountain biking, skiing, and there's a whitewater rapids river that goes right through the town. So literally the first job that I got as an interaction designer, I got to join a team that was winning, in the process of winning a top 10 Nielsen Norman Award.
Wow.
Like if you heard Nielsen Norman,
Oh yeah.
you know, like best in class UX teaching and teaching, like just based on research and based on like what works in the industry. And I got to go join a team that was like just hands down, just a bunch of weapons, like just incredible people. And that's where I got my kind of first start in as an interaction designer and learned a ton. And then I got so hungry for like learning then. And then it was just from there on, it was like boom, 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 like company after company. Lived in Durango, Colorado, got a job in Santa Fe, New Mexico, working with e-government and helping local, state, and federal government, building like taxation revenue department websites and other apps and experiences that took a very small percentage of the revenue that helped us fund what we were doing, but also helped government succeed, helped government be better. And then like I got recruited for like a design director role where I was getting to run a remote company from a design side, and then, you know, story after story. Then I got a even more ambition to go out to the Bay Area because I was just craving like challenges, and ended up finding this company called CrossCap. And this company was a marketing and enterprise retail company that served like Walmart, Target, and Taylor, Victoria's Secret, like all these big box retail stores. But what we did was we built marketing software that helped them with their calendar of marketing, but also their in-store signage. So literally, depending on the location of where you are in the country, and these stores are all over the country, right? So what do you sell in the store, and like what works and what doesn't work, and building measurement tools to help them in their company, and also like just learning about how these big giant companies are very specific in how they sell products and services across all the different states of the United States. So it's kind of crazy. And then from there I got recruited at Lynda, and then that's where like literally my life changed, dude. Like it was just lynda.com. If you've ever heard of lynda.com, it was like the OG of online learning. And it was the LinkedIn now owns the lynda.com brand. They retired it, but that's where I got recruited there. And from there, it was just got to redesign the entire platform, got to work with incredible people, and just found the absolute joy of my life getting to work at a learning company and help people learn and grow. And then I got to teach on LinkedIn Learning and lynda.com, build case studies, build stories, ship and build the products, learn about content, learn about like all these other new things. And then LinkedIn bought us. It was like, whoa.
Yeah.
LinkedIn bought Lynda, and that was an incredible adventure. And I got just so much great exposure to great leadership there. Went to spent a couple more years at LinkedIn. Then I got recruited at Envision, where I got to go and help with the design transformation team. And this was like a team I've helped found. And this was all about helping raise the design maturity at design organizations across the world, right? Envision was like, this time, the new design tool that they were making, Studio, was coming out, and they were just like crushing in all their cylinders. And the Figma still wasn't like that big at that time, but they were growing fast and doing really well. And then like a couple of years after doing that, I miss working with teams. I miss because I was like a consultant in a sense where I'd get to fly around, do workshops, but it's not the same. And working like in-house with team and building that rapport. And I miss that. I love that about Lynda and the LinkedIn ecosystem and platform and just the people that work there. So then who do I want to work for? I'm like, who do I want to work for after working all these amazing companies? And I had two companies that I wanted to try exploring. One was Netflix and one was Facebook. So I interviewed with both those companies. I obviously didn't get the job at Netflix, but I got the job at Facebook, and I ended up getting to work in performance management there. I loved it. It was really cool. I learned a ton about that. And then that's when I learned even more about building better habits. And then that's when I ended up engaging with Brendan Burchard's content. And Brendan Burchard is CEO and founder of Growth Day. And Brendan's also like the world's leading high performance coach in the entire world. Like he coaches like Oprah's team and Usher and all these Olympians and professional athletes, and just an absolute ninja thinker and absolute just a great human being, and got to work under him for the last 2 years and run his product and design organization at Growth Day. And that leads us to this. And now it's just like still continuing building next level UX, coaching people, helping people grow, and then tapping into the little creators of the world and helping them grow a little bit better too, with all the things that I've learned along the journey. So, dude, I know that's a lot. It's a mouthful, but that's the story. That's how it all went. So I'd love to just tap, anything else around that. But that was the really exciting journey for me.
And obviously working at Growth Day, you're exposed to all these, I would imagine, habits and way of doing things that allow you to perform at such a higher level, so I'm tempted to have you list some, but at the same time, I'm also thinking, give us one thing that we should start doing that will improve our performance. We'll see if we can get that. And maybe in the coming weeks, we can kind of revisit it. So what one big thing would have an impact?
One of the biggest habits that I think are that it's been, these are all research-backed habits that we focus on at Growth Day, but they're also based on Brendan's High Performance Habits book. So if you haven't read that book, I would encourage everybody to read that book, because it's one of the biggest studies that's ever been done in high performance research. And high performance is essentially like sustained productivity and wellness over the long term. So it's like being consistent with your productivity and your wellness, and not just like, oh, I'm gonna like burn out and work so hard and then hate my life because I'm so exhausted and tired. That's not, it's not about working harder. It's about working smarter and really being in tune with like, well, what is your body doing? And, so it's being socially aware. But the number one habit that I would focus on is clarity. And clarity is really, it's actually the number one first pillar of my next level UX training map. So I have 3 training maps for next level UX. And these are the training maps that I developed because I'm like, well, if I was going to teach design to my son, who's 12 right now, who's like an epic video editor, and he's already like blowing my mind. What do I need to teach Jude to be more successful in his life when even if he's not going to be a designer, but he's going to be a maker, he's creating content, he's doing all this stuff. What's the number one thing? Clarity is the first week, or the first pillar. And clarity is important because we need to really tackle these. And I'm going to give you 6 core things, a part of clarity that's really important. So the first thing is like understanding who you are, like your identity. You need clarity about who you are. That's so important, because like if you're flailing and going through life and you don't really know, like, well, who are you? Well, this could be like, what's your identity? And you could define your identity by just saying like, I'm a excited, courageous, and passionate creator. That's like a just simple definition of who you are and how you want to show up. That's number one. The second one is, how do you want to interact with other people? You need clarity around how you interact with other people, because if you're going through life and you're not really present about like, well, my interactions suck, or my interactions are amazing, like the interaction and spirit that I get when I go and interact with this person, what does that feel like? And how do I want to show up when I do that? Like, so the interactions is incredibly important. The third one is, what does success look like in your past, and what is success going to continue to look like in your life? So for me, consistency has been one of the biggest pillars of success in my life. So, this unpacks clarity so much, but you need this clarity so you know how you're going to show up every day, how you're going to interact with people, and then what success looks like. And then the 3 other things that kind of wrap up clarity in that week 1 of the training that I have is that you need to know your priorities. You need to know your priorities. You need to have purpose for like, what am I doing? And why do I even care? Is like, you need necessity essentially. And that purpose is kind of like, well, I'm doing all this work because I want to provide for my family, and I want to have an incredible house, or I want to have incredible meals planned every week. Like, you need that necessity. And then the last thing you need to know is your kryptonite. And the kryptonite's like, what am I not very good at? And what do I need to improve on? And do I have like an actual like development plan to do that? So I know I just unpacked so much, but that's the number one thing that I try to work with people first when I go and coach them, or if a new designer joins the team, I want to help them find clarity in their life so that they know who they are, how they want to show up, how they interact. And then they have these 3 little things that they can dial back into, like priorities, purpose, and kryptonite. And also plus there's a lot of stuff. Like this is it, man.
That's great. I got 6 for the price of 1, so I appreciate that, man. That's fantastic. One thing I found myself thinking about as you were describing consistency, we live in such like dynamic times and dynamic environments. It can be hard to find consistency. And the piece I want to ask you about is, I feel like there is a value of stretching yourself, kind of trying to continuously grow and make yourself a little uncomfortable as time progresses, that you may not qualify as consistency, right? Because when I think of consistency, I think about kind of having some routine, some steady habits. But if you're stretching yourself, you may be getting outside of that. So how can you kind of balance what you need to be successful, be consistent, while at the same time trying to push yourself a little, maybe a little extra?
How can you balance it?
Yeah.
Wow, I think like balance is different for everybody. Like everybody's got like another level or a tolerance for, like literally a tolerance for pain, or a tolerance for what they put themselves through. I think this is a really important thing to figure out, because I don't look at like balance as like something I'm striving for. I'm striving for harmony. I'm striving for rhythm. I'm striving for like a connection. And I think when we go and we really are trying to like not be overwhelmed with all the things that we could potentially do, like knowing these things that I was just like calling out, like with clarity, and just knowing that you got to give yourself grace. You're going to go through all this stuff for the next, like, it's a journey. It's not about like just trying to do everything this year and being epic at everything this year. It's about just embracing the journey, embracing the struggle of being a novice in something, and knowing that every week, every day, every month, every year, I'm going to get a little bit better at this. And just know that you will get way better. You will get way better. If you're in Figma, if you're in these courses, if you're learning, if you're showing up to like podcasts and YouTube channels and just absorbing information and looking at different perspectives, you're going to be okay. You're going to be great. But if you're not doing anything, and you're not like, and you're just like letting people's like anxiety and stress like affect you, then you will get stressed and you will be unbalanced. So it's like knowing who you are, so you're not like tripping about like what other people like think of you. You just stay true. You build some harmony. You build some energy. You build good energy. You build rhythm with the people you work with, and then you learn and you get better. Boom, 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 every day.
So let's switch it up a little bit, because I do appreciate these kind of insights. I'm going to give you a kind of a fun reaction question. So you said that you started out, got inspired by Photoshop, right? And this is, I'm assuming, a couple of years back. I'm probably 3 years in the design world myself. I'm going through my first Adobe buys my favorite software product experience. So any thoughts on how I should be experiencing, thinking about the potential Figma acquisition by Adobe?
Yeah, I mean, So I think one thing that I would like want everybody to know is that Adobe is a great company. Figma is a great company. It's going to be like years for them to figure out how to integrate these two worlds. Maybe like integrate them to a level that everybody could maybe imagine. There's all sorts of ideas for co-creation and collaboration, but Figma's awesome at it. Adobe has just had such a big platform for so long. It's really difficult to integrate things like well. Figma is so light, airy, and swift. And I think that's why they have really put a really big dent in the design in the design space industry, and helping and basically taking on InVision and succeeding over what InVision. And I loved working at InVision. I love what they do. And freehand's a great tool, but Figma has all of it integrated already there. It's there. And Adobe is going to learn a lot from Figma, and Figma is going to learn a lot from Adobe as far as enterprise and scaling and really big company. I think the future is going to be bright. It's going to be exciting, but I would say the focus on your objectives that are for your company right now. If you're a designer, I would not even worry about like what this is going to mean. This is going to change. I would say focus on your projects, focus on your priorities, and know that these companies do not want you to slow down. They don't want you to stop learning or stop developing. They want you to keep, they want business as usual. And I know if I was a leadership or executive at those companies, I would say, don't get distracted by this acquisition. Don't get distracted by this acquisition. This is, if you're an employee at Adobe, if you're an employee at Figma, they're going to tell their employees to stay focused on what matters most. And that's their priorities and their projects. That's their families. That's their learning objectives. Do not make this a bigger thing than it needs to be. And I would just stay focused on what you want to do, Alex, like what is most important to you. And, you know, Figma and Adobe are going to be awesome because they're already awesome. They're great companies. With Illustrator, like incredible. Photoshop, incredible. Use these things for you. Like I have a category in one of my trainings called tools, people, and tactics. Now, to tool side, you know, if you're thinking about Adobe and Figma, you want to use the tools that support your project and your team and your like outcomes. You want to use the tools that do that. So I would just say, like, stay focused on your on things that matter most. Yeah.
I love that. I love that. So another little left turn here, if you're okay with it. I have a deck of cards, which are called We're Not Really Strangers. Have you ever played this game or talked to anybody about it?
No, but I love decks of cards. I love decks. Let's go. What's on there?
So what this one is good for
designers?
is it's designers. It's anybody you're going to work with, basically. It's just a way to kind of cut through some of the small talk that we can get stuck in and have deeper, more meaningful conversations, get to know each other. So I've got a couple here, and I'll give you the first one. It's kind of fun. What is the most unexplainable thing that's ever happened to you?
Ooh, the most unexplainable thing that's ever happened to me.
And if you need a minute, I've got one on deck because obviously I knew I was going to ask this question. So you let me know what you want.
The most unexplainable thing that's ever happened to me. Well, I am a very intention. Like I believe in like the power of intention. I believe in like the you know, you ask the universe and somehow the universe ends up, you know, I was asking for a product manager a month ago to join my team, and a product manager literally joined one of my live growth groups in the platform. And this product manager is an absolute weapon, like so amazing. Like probably like this, I'm so excited about this. So this design or this product manager was a chief product officer at their company. And I'm like, in my mind, like, I really want this product manager. They're going to have so much epic responsibility in this role that I'm hiring for. And then boom, shows up. She shows up. And I'm like, how did this even happen? And it was really funny. And then we ended up hiring, and now we're hiring her. She's going to start next month. And amazing. That was probably one of the most amazing things that ever happened to me. The other thing was meeting my founder, my CEO right now. I had a vision for like I went through his coaching program when I was at Facebook, and I went through coaching because I wanted to learn more about how to be an entrepreneur and how to be like have better executive presence. So I'm like, I don't feel like I wasn't able to ask for that at Facebook with the leader. They didn't have like coaching programs for me to do that because I wasn't an executive. So I paid a coach, went through, and then after going through the program, I had this like imagination and vision, like, oh my gosh, I think I could help this guy. I think I could help him rebuild what he's currently got, because what I went through was kind of like older, and it didn't have like a SaaS energy to it. It was like, you know, he was a you know, a top New York Times bestselling author. incredible user base, incredible like connections, but I'm like, he hasn't gone into the SaaS space yet. My mind's thinking that I could help him build that. Year later, me and him working on Growth Day together. 2 years later, go look at Growth Day right now and check it out and see what we built in about 2 years together. It's mind blowing to me. The team we have, the support we have, the energy that we bring to work every day. It's just completely blown my mind how what we've done. But it all started with just like imagining it, and it happened. So that, I think that probably answers your question. There's two things that were just crazy happened.
Yeah, I love that. That's so cool, and that's definitely a mark of someone who is confident in their abilities, has plenty of experience. You recognize the need, and you basically made it happen. You filled that niche, and I feel like kind of finding those niches throughout your career, what's going to allow people to really move forward and succeed. So that's so cool.
Yeah, taking bold action, like this opportunity. There was another crazy bold action where when I was at Lynda, I was tasked to redesign I was tasked to design an offline mode of lynda.com, like an offline mode, like it would be like a desktop app, right? You didn't have to be on connect to the internet to use it. You download courses and things. So I started designing this, and then all of a sudden, it gets in front of Lynda and Bruce, the founders, and then we decide like, oh no, we should redesign the whole platform.
Yeah.
And then I got to help lead that project, and it was just another moment where we ended up getting incredible talent to join that team, and it was one of my all-time favorite teams that we've built because everybody was so passionate about online learning. The culture was so incredible at lynda.com, and they had been working for 20 years to bring online learning to the mass, and the content system and rhythm of the business was just absolutely world class. So, and then we just ended up building that whole product, and then it got acquired. There was just so many like incredible little like nuggets, being in the right place at the right time, and then executing and taking big bold action. So that's what I mean by like preparing for the moment, because you never know what's going to happen. And I'm not like the best visual designer in the world, but I can bring people together, I can unite people, and I can execute like nobody's business. And that's those three things. And in learning, that's like the hat trick. Having an incredible team, we rebuilt that platform, and then it got acquired. And then we ended up spending the next couple of years integrating LinkedIn Learning. And then 6 years later after that, lynda.com finally got retired. So after acquisition, 6 years later, that product still was living on, that we built, and we didn't even touch it because it was such a solid platform that just worked. People could learn, people could grow, and the engine just kept running. And then all of a sudden, it was like retire LinkedIn or retire lynda.com, introduce LinkedIn Learning, and now you're part of a big social network of professionals that more people have it now. More people have learning, and it was a cool journey.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a couple things in there, and I want to highlight that throughout this conversation, you've used team language more than you've used I language, which I definitely appreciate. You talk about your team, what you've done as a team. So talk to me a little bit about some of the teams you've worked on, and also mentorship. How should a younger designer be thinking about finding a mentor and what that can really do to unlock your potential?
Yeah, mentorship's incredible. Like, I think one thing to know when you brought up teams, like we're always going to be, and I'll use the word, I don't like using absolute statements, but we are always going to be on a team. And you might have a venture and something you start by yourself, but then you'll bring in more people, because more people help you actually execute your vision, your dream. And even if you're like an entrepreneur, you're a founder, or you start a new company, you're still going to need to bring in more people. And knowing that you're going to do that, and just being open the fact that you need team to really level up what you're building, going into that first, and just knowing that I'm going to work with an engineer, I'm going to work with a product manager, I'm going to work with a content specialist, I'm going to work with a CEO, you're going to have all these different roles. They're all going to have different responsibilities. So the faster that you can connect to what these people need and what they need every week and what they need to be successful, then you can start preparing those things and be a better support and a better team player for them. It is game changing because they'll start seeing you as a contributor, and then you're turning into having more of a service mindset to helping the people you work with. And then finding mentorships, that's like icing on the cake. Like, okay, great. Now you can connect and find an ally on your team or an ally from another company, and then be able to have them. I mean, it's better if it's within your company sometimes, because they can see your blind spots and see like, oh, the way you communicated in that meeting and the way you presented in that meeting, you weren't really sharing you were just basically being very demanding in that meeting, or you were very aggressive with how you gave that feedback. Just wanted to bring that to your attention so that, you know, next time they're set up for success and they might not do that. Or, hey, I noticed that you didn't really prepare for that meeting. You didn't really know what you're talking about. Like, maybe next time let's come with 3 learning objectives or 3 things that you want to get across in that meeting. So having an ally and a mentorship within your company can help spot those things. That will help you grow. I had a really great mentor when I was at lynda.com. His name's David Sherwin. This guy was like the absolute, he was just incredible. He worked at Frog Design, and he had so much history and rich experience. So he was a great teacher, and he wrote books, and he was just a perfect person for me at the time where I was at in my career to learn from, to model, and to learn how I could be a better designer human. Taught me a ton about communication, taught me a ton about how to acknowledge like what's going on in front of you. And my emotional IQ raised probably like 10x that year because he had another level of emotional intelligence that I needed, that I was like hungry for, and like I just didn't know what I didn't know. And so after that mentorship and collaboration, I became way more influential and way more productive and way more successful in what I was doing every day. So I think mentorships help lead to those sorts of things. So being open to learning and growing, but also not like putting too much stress on like, oh, I got to find a mentor. I can't find a mentor. Like, you can just talk to your team and ask them for feedback. That's another level of getting mentorship. You know, mentorships. I wrote a post about this years ago. In mentor, you can have a bad mentorship. Like you could have somebody that doesn't really know what they're talking about and teaching you things, and you're getting bad advice. So like you want to be super aware of what you're asking for, what you need, have really good communication back and forth with whoever you're going to be asking for support from. Let them know what you clearly need, what you clearly desire, what they could help you with, and then see if there's something that you can give back to them, because it's a mutual benefit. It's a mutual collaboration. So that's what I think about mentorship and teams. Oh man, so many great teams, like such a blessing.
That's fantastic. And I'm struck by how much of your answer kind of comes back to clarity. As you said, it's the first pillar, because I can't really request things from a mentor if I don't know what I'm looking for and if I don't know where I'm at. So that's really key. Have you reflected on any habits that you've let go over the years in your career, of things that weren't serving you anymore as you were kind of learning and growing?
Habits that I've let go of. I think that's a great question. I think like you let go of trying to be like perfect, like this perfection of when you're creating a design and you don't want to show it because you're concerned that you could get judged pretty hard if you show it too early. I think once I learned to just share every time I made something, like that ended up game changing. And like I got to sit by the CEO of LinkedIn right now, Ryan Rosalansky. I got to sit by him by a year and a half and see him walk in, see his energy, see how he showed up for his team, to see like how he gave feedback. And, you know, I think about like when I started sharing my work earlier, more often, and then like when I got feedback, I would restate the feedback. So what I'm hearing is this. And then once I started doing that and then sharing my work more often, it ended up just releasing so much other stress and anxiety about like, oh, well, I don't have to be perfect. I just need to shepherd all this information. I just need to shepherd it over and over and over throughout the whole life cycle of a project. That's all I'm doing. I don't need to take all the pressure and anxiety of like, I have to be the best designer in the whole wide world. I need to be the best facilitator in the whole wide world. I need to be the best knowledge transferer of information in the whole wide world. So I think once I released more of that like perfectionism thinking, because like, you know, when you're a designer in school, you're like, I gotta make this look perfect. It's like, it's never gonna be perfect. You're gonna change it. Like a requirement could change, and you just wasted so much time doing that. So I think that's a pretty good one.
Yeah, I love that. Well, Drew, thank you so much. I have time for about one more question. I'm going to rely on one of these cards here because I think they're fun. What title would you give this chapter in your life and why?
Oh, I feel like this is the setup chapter of my life.
Yeah.
I know that I had like a lot of journey and story, but I feel like just getting started. Like with really I mean, I feel like kind of young. I mean, I'm gonna turn 38 in November, but I still feel pretty young at heart. I feel like I got a long time to go. I feel like I'm in setup stage, and I never thought that I would be ahead of product and design like this point in time in my life, or I never thought I'd be a founder of a company. I never thought I would like just be able to work with the people I work with every single day that are just incredibly talented. But I gotta say, like, we're just setting things up now to prepare for what's to come, and what's to come is some really exciting things with helping the future makers of the world, helping all the people that might be watching this down the road. Like there is like a whole nother level of awareness, and you tap into that level of awareness, and then you can go and, you know, live in the woods, do the things you care about, travel the world, build the things you you want to work on, care about. Like there's so many things that you haven't tapped into yet, but that you will. And I just feel like for me, it's the setup stage for that. And then like all the stuff that I know now, it's about sharing it, about helping people, and it's about growing the world's best personal development app in the whole wide world, and also building the best training system to help people learn how to be more at harmony and more at like cohesive with how they like want to live. So harmony, cohesion, and just like having a ton of fun. Like gotta have fun. Yeah. Like straight up. Like we gotta do that. So those are it's the setup stage.